3, 2, 1. Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy Nissy coming back with another bullseye of a tutorial here today on the channel. So I wanted to go over how I mixed this track right here for artists. I'm gonna drop their link down below. A really fire track, an absolute hood certified street banger. I really love this a lot. So I'm gonna show you guys how I like to mix some of those greedy, aggressive, mainstream Detroit vocals today here on the channel. So if you guys do like this video here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You know, if you got any more different video suggestions, go ahead and drop it. And this is gonna be one of my full mix breakdowns. So of course, in true full mix breakdown, we're not gonna waste no time. We got a lot to cover. I'm gonna play the whole song and I'm gonna go over how we was able to achieve this. Let's go.
On the game. Ain't no other game. Slow. Real in, baby, nigga. Hold on. Out of town with my jury on. No security on. I'm a ghetto in, baby. Saint Laurent hoodie on. Ain't related to that singing bitch, but my money long. Frankie B's in the trap like a fucking honeycomb. I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking stud. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, don't want no fucking hug. I need a bag, I don't need to fall in love. Hung up on bass shit, I'm finna call my plug. Like 30 minutes out. Thanks, man, for last time. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I bait call a nigga back like what the fuck? You ain't finna copy with them bitches from the club. Bitch, you love this lifestyle, shut the fuck up. You say that, take a, I'm about to cut up. Out of time with my jury on, no security on. I'm a ghetto in, baby, Saint Laurent hoodie on. Ain't related to that singing bitch, but my money long. Frankie B's in the trap like a fucking honeycomb. I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Don't take it Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Miami, I just ran into a plug. Missed my flight, I was fucking up the club. I popped a perk before we fucked just because. Alone, Prada shirt, Prada shoe, Prada plug. I need a bag, bitch, I don't need no hug. Alone, I got a rich bitch, she quick to upload. Out of town with my jury on, no security on. Ghetto in, baby, Saint Laurent hoodie on. Ain't related to that singing bitch, but my money long. Bees in the trap like a fucking honeycomb. No pussy, I'm in my zone.
All right, so you guys get the main idea about the mix. So this is one of my subscribers that hit me up for a mix. And if y'all ever want to, you know, tap in and work, you know, it's not hard to get to me. So let's go over what we did to the beat. So first of all, usually with the beat, what I love to do is I love to have a trim plugin already kind of in there. I like this mix too because the person who sent it to me, he was actually kind of using a couple of my tricks. You know, he be watching my videos, paying attention. So, you know, it's pretty cool to see that. And, you know, the 2-track beat, usually I like to trim it down. Usually these YouTube beats are coming already like normalized above 0 dB. So for music, you know, that's a situation where we like to knock it down. I like to usually knock it down like 10, 13 dB, you know, somewhere around there, just so I could give myself some space before I hit, you know, 0 again and start clipping. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I want to avoid, digital distortion. So I give myself a little headroom with a trim plugin. Okay, cool. After that, you know, I use this plugin right here. I noticed that the 2-track beat had a little bit of too much low end. So I actually came in there because this is a mix and a master. You know, what I actually did is I kind of went above and beyond and I did a little bit of multi-band compression on the 2-track beat, right? Now, I would never recommend this technique for people who are just starting out, but this is what I did. Just use this plugin right here called DMG Essence. Very dope plugins DMG Audio has. But let's look at what it was doing here. It was just really tightening up the low end. There was a lot of, like, the 808 was starting to sound clunky and flubby, so I used this to tighten up the booty of the 2-track.
I ain't related to that singing bitch, but my money long. Frankie B's in the trap like a fucking honeycomb. I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime.
The lead vocal, how we was saucing that bit up. So this is hard, aggressive Detroit type of vocals, and I know Detroit is a place that's gritty, you know, get tough out there, you know. So I gotta make the music sound believable. That's my responsibility as an engineer. He talking about the streets, got around with my hood. He talking that plug talk. So even before I get to work and doing any process, I'm already building an image in my head. Sometimes I like to look at a picture of where the person is, you know, kind of like the style of rapping. I'm not necessarily sure if he's from Detroit, but it's still that style of rap. So I want to make it believable. That's my job as an engineer. I got to take that picture, but then I got to present it to the world, which is the audience, and make it really look like it's believable. Like, yeah, this that gritty street, like, you feel me, stuff, you know? Because if your music ain't believable, it don't matter how good it sounds. People ain't never gonna vibe with it. Okay, cool. So I use the CL1B. The actual person, you know, who the artist himself who was doing the mix, like his pre-mix, he had the CL1B everywhere, but I just threw it on the bus. And you know, compression is not about taming peaks. I use the CL1B because I know I got a tube in it. I'm paying attention to position. I want the vocals to be up front, in your face, aggressive, really hard, letting you hear everything that he talking about his life. You feel me? Everything he be doing day to day. So I use the CL1B to push the vocal forward. You know what I mean? The compression is not about taming peaks. It's about, you know, tone, positioning, the weight, the color, the seasoning, the honey, garlic, marinara sauce that you're trying to put on that lead vocal. So let's bypass it in and out real fast.
I ain't related to that singing bitch, but my money long. Frankie B's in the trap like a fucking honeycomb. I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a duz. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking stud. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money.
So even though we're not adding any volume, you see that zero volume, we're literally lowering the level of the actual vocal, but that compression, the tube topology, the input and the output is helping push that vocal forward. So after that, we have a stock EQ, the EQ7, and I like to roll off a little bit body, cut off a little bit of, you know, mid bass, just to take out that honky frequency. I like to take that out and boost a little top. You feel me? So yeah, that's kind of like a basic EQ move that I like to do. And then after that, you know, I like to you know, go to the processing. So I use something like Soothe, which is pretty good because I just did a counter move. I boosted up all of that mid-range, but now I got it going into the Soothe, working dynamically, just kind of nibbling on some of those harsh parts. So the harshness is not bad. I actually like the harshness because sometimes people from like the street life, their life is kind of harsh. Oh, so maybe I should make the vocals sound just a little bit harsh. Not too harsh, but just a little bit harsh so it makes the music sound more like real life and believable. Wow, who would have knew?
Plug, like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it cause my phone do a duz. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking stud. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch. Don't.
And so just using the Soothe tool to slowly massage, you know, all that stuff that I added. I usually like to do static. I usually like to do static processing first, then get to the dynamic processing. So then I did another EQ move, literally damn near copying the first one I did, but understanding that, you know, they have two different colors. The stock EQ is very clean, and then the REQ, it's doing the same exact move, but it has a different color to it. You know, it has a little bit more a smoother type of EQ shape. Okay, so nothing really crazy happening here, just a little bit more of the same exact move. Sometimes I like to do this. I like to double up on the move, you know.
Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it cause my phone do a duz. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking stud. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on.
Yeah, so just cleaning up the vocal, adding a little bit more presence. Okay, then after the fact, I use something like the Wave C4, and I love using this preset, Bass Comp De-esser. So I'm kind of boosting a lot of top. I want a lot of that presence, but then I'm kind of shaping that presence. I'm kind of sharpening that knife in a different way. I kind of got it sharp, but sometimes when you got a knife that's too sharp, you can fuck around and cut yourself. And I don't want his vocal to cut the listener's ears, you feel me? So I do it in a situation where I'm boosting and I'm cutting. I'm kind of just really shaping it around. I like to do static processing, and then maybe after the fact, I do dynamic processing. You see my little pattern? Static, dynamic, static, dynamic. It doesn't always work like that, but I like to do that because it's like I'm really shaping it to how I hear it in my head. But you need to have that image in your head before you even try to do something like this. So yeah, C4. really just dynamically controlling that low mid power of his vocal, because that low mid also tells, you know, the density, the weight of his words and everything like that. I want his words to not be too skinny. I do want them to have a little bit of weight, so you know that there's power behind his words. You know, if somebody's talking to you, they making, you know, threats or promises. If their words don't have no weight, it's not very believable. So as an engineer, you know, I'm trying to make the rapper's vocal have a little bit of weight so that the listener could be like, damn, like this nigga really like doing this shit. Like, you know what I mean? So love using this preset, and of course a little bit of de-essing on the top end.
Gon' take you to Ocean Prime, but I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it cause my phone do a dub. This a real check and ain't got no fucking studs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, don't want no fucking hug.
All right, cool. Next thing we jumping into is the compressor we use. I like to use something like a Wave CLA 76, but most of the time when I'm using it, I'm paying attention to the components. I know it got that FET circuitry in it, which is very dirty and grimy and gritty. So understanding this is a Detroit vocal, I deploy something like the CLA 76, and I'm not compressing too hard, but I'm using this to be most of my volume, you know? So this is an input and an output transformer on top of that. So it's making the vocal sound really warm and really aggressive. Rather than pushing the fader of my DAW, you know, to get my level, I'm using this analog model plugin to get the grit. So this is that nasty grit, that you know, that dirty grit, that Detroit, you know, that we outside Black Air Force One type of compression. And it's not a coincidence that the compressor is black too.
Buzz. I ain't worried about it cause my phone do a dub. This a real check and ain't got no fucking studs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, don't want no fucking hug. I need a bag, I don't need to fall in love. Hung up on bass shit, I'm finna call my plug.
So on purpose, I'm using the CLA 76 to give me my grittiness. You know, it's making the vocal loud, but also louder music. Sometimes you gotta look past the volume. Just because you see a little chihuahua and the chihuahua starts barking louder and louder and louder and louder, that don't mean the little chihuahua is bigger. Doesn't mean it's stronger. You gotta look past the volume. It's like how you could look past the chihuahua and be like, you just a little chihuahua. You know what I mean? Sometimes because stuff is louder, that don't necessarily mean it's gonna get better, but that's something you gotta train with your ears of grinding, making music every day, loving the game. That's a skill that will come over time. So after that, understanding I want to make it gritty, dirty, so I picked something like the SSL-G channel, and of course I'm using a little bit of that filter. I think it has like an 18 dB octave, very moderate, just really shaping off the low end of his vocal in a very musical way, positioning stuff. I love to always use the blue band and boost that honky frequency, you know, that nasally frequency, and notch it out just a little bit, maybe like a dB. You know, sometimes doing a little cut can actually add a brightness. You know, it's like the tonal seesaw that I like to call it. You drop the low frequency, so then the high end comes up. If you drop the high end, well, then the low comes up, you know? So it's like a seesaw, you feel me? Depending on how you shift the frequency. So, okay, after that, we had the compressor as well. That VCA topology, adding a little bit of grit and just tapping it, just ever so lightly getting tone, you know? I treat the compressors like Oprah. I feel like I'm Oprah when I'm mixing. I say, you do a little compression, you get a little compression, you get a little compression. I don't ever leave the compression onto just one thing. I just share it evenly throughout all these plugins. Okay, so let's listen to it.
Buzz. I ain't worried about it cause my phone do a dub. This a real check and ain't got no fucking studs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, don't want no fucking hug. I need a bag, I don't need to fall in love. Hung up on bass shit, I'm finna call my plug. Like 30 minutes out. Thanks, man. I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Gon' take you to Ocean Prime, but I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick.
We're gonna have here something like the RVOX. Love using the RVOX because at that point, I just want a little bit of density. I love using the gate because it can really start to tighten things up if there's potential background noise. But I see gates more as like a tonal type of thing, like to you know, if you kind of have like a really tight shirt on or with a really tight collar, you start talking a little bit more, you know, squeeze a little bit more tight. So I see a gate as in a musical way to tighten up the rapper's flow. I don't see it like, oh, I'm trying to get rid of background noise. So, you know, you guys, if you want to get, you got a noisy background, use a gate. Now, I see it as in a tonal way, you know, so making music is two different ways you can see it. You can see things like a robot, beep, boop, bye, tame the peaks, roll the lows. You can see music like that, but then your music gonna sound like that. it's gonna sound like a robot did it. It ain't gonna sound like a person put their heart into that shit. It's gonna sound like somebody finessed you for a mix. It ain't gonna sound like they really tried to project you and your life inside of your music. You feel me? So I love using the RVox to give weight and density. Okay, cool. After that, we have the fresh air, and I love using this because it just makes the vocal sound mainstream. Rather than to use something like an EQ, I'm using saturation to give me some of my brightness. So usually I can be just a little bit more aggressive on something like a fresh air than a regular EQ because, you know, if you use the EQ to boost the top, depending on what type of EQ you use and what type of shape it has, the Q might be a little too sharp. You know, it might just start boosting up the nastiness. It might be a little too sharp, you know, with the how it boosts and stuff. It might be a little bit too pointy. But something like fresh air, I like it because the curves are kind of smooth, how it brightens stuff.
I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking studs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, don't want no fucking hug. I need a bag, I don't need to fall in love. Hung up.
So at that point in time, you hear that by the time I hit my fresh air, you know, my vocal is already so like nice and round that when I start boosting that pretty mainstream top, it sounds so clear, but not harsh and not annoying. You feel me? So then I just, you know, at that point, I heard a little nasty frequency. I notched it out. Okay, cool. That was my lead vocal. After that, of course, with my lead vocal sound, you know, I did something that I do quite often on my mixes, not all the time. Sometimes this won't work for you, but I use 3 parallel compressors, and I like to use 3 parallel compressors because they all kind of add this non-invasive type of sound to the vocal. That's the thing. Sometimes you do compression on the direct insert, but now like the sound of the vocal is starting to change. Like now you're losing dynamics. So blending in a little bit parallel compression is awesome. So first parallel compressor I used was the 1176, the UAD, and I used the preset parallel Vox aggression, and that really just was clamping down on the vocal, giving it a lot of that density. Sometimes I like to let it move all over the place, but not this time. It was very grabby, giving some vocal presence and blending that back in. Then I use something like the distressor as well as my second parallel compressor. You can use 3 parallel compressors if you want, but that's not guaranteed if it's gonna work. You know, sometimes you use 3 and the vocal starts to sound muddy and nasty and horrible. So I would tell you to learn how to use 1. Then maybe if you ever get good at it, you can use more than 1. So after that, I use the distressor 6-to-1 ratio. And I want my parallel compressors to be clean, so the detection circuit, the sidechain filter is on. And last thing after that, we had the Fairchild 660, you know, and it was giving some of that tube compression sound. So with the tube compression, it's pretty good. It helps the vocals be up front, and I kind of already established that when I was mixing the song early on. But this is a cool preset. It's called Rap. And let's listen to, let's watch all these needles rock around.
Want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking studs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, don't want no fucking hug. I need a bag, I don't need to fall in love. Hung up on bass shit, I'm finna call my plug. Whatever, like 30 minutes out. Thanks, man, for that song. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I bait calling nigga back like what the fuck?
All right, so now let's start looking at the background vocals. With the background vocals, I listen to the lead vocal and then the background vocals together and see what I kind of want. So this time I wanted contrast. I used the L1 not to do any compression with this limiter, but to give a little bit of that digital distortion, that digital grit. It's kind of like jalapenos. Some people say, oh man, I don't like them jalapenos. They too goddamn hot, so I ain't never gonna use them at all. You know, some people would say the same thing about digital distortion, but it's a tool just like any other tool. It's all depending on how you use it. But I use this to give a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more grit to the ad-libs. After that, you know, I want to say that the SSLG helped us out as well. You know, so gluing stuff together is a mindset. You can't just slap on an SSLG compressor, there you go, it's glued. No, it doesn't work like that. Gluing a mix is through a mindset, you know? So sometimes tonality is another way you can glue stuff together. I use the SSLG on the lead vocal. Now I'm gonna use the SSLG on the background vocals. So after that, you know, you see the gate here, and the gate is gonna be doing that tightening of the collar, tightening of the shirt, tightening of the tie. You know what I mean? Creating that sense of urgency in the background vocals so they pop out like that, you know? And of course, you know, we're just carving out the mid-range, carving out all the stuff that we don't need so everything blends well together. And of course, the VCA dynamic section, you know, only just nibbling a little bit on those background vocals, helping them give a little bit more density, a little aggression.
I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking studs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on.
All right, so after that, then we had something like the 1176, but a different one. And this one is on the fastest attack, you know, kind of using it to actually do another limiter. You know, any compressor above the ratio of 20 or more is going to become a limiter. So this is my limiter that's actually working tonally, taking out a lot of the punch of the background vocals with a fast release, helping them give a little bit of that front to back movement.
I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking studs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, don't want no fuck.
So all of these little moves together are starting to make the ad-libs unpack them when he said dub, club. You know, you could just hear the consonants a little bit better. We're enhancing that using the compression. Hashtag compression has nothing to do with taming peaks. They lied to you. Okay, after that, soothe, stock preset, just as a stopgap limiter, because I know I'm doing all of this compression and all this limiting and all of this boosting of the presence. I don't want nothing to get too sharp.
I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking stuff.
So the background vocals still have a lot of weight, but they aren't too sharp, you know, they aren't too brash, too abrasive, you know what I mean? It's all about balancing stuff, you know? So with the vocals, I kind of wanted it to be crunchy. Like even his voice kind of has like this bubbling type of sound in it that I really like a lot. His voice is very unique. Use the gate, you know, no compression or nothing like that. And then after that, let's get to our ad-libs. I don't think with the ad-libs we were doing nothing too crazy. Another CL1B for a little bit more tone, and you know, just really trying to use this for a lot, mostly distortion, SSL channel. Then we had the you know, now I want a little contrast, so now I'm going to use something like the SSL E channel. Then the REQ. Interestingly enough, the artist, he actually used my own preset from watching my videos, so shout out to him. Then we had another soothe, nothing crazy. I mean, these are just ad-libs. Ad-libs won't make or break a song. You know, it's funny when people come into the comments and they're like, oh, you skipped steps, or you didn't show this, and you show me the settings of the delay and the reverb. Look, if your music is trash, a good reverb ain't gonna save your song, bruh. If your music is trash, a good delay is not gonna save your song. That don't make a difference. When I do these videos, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly what to show you and what not to show you to distract you. So trust me, you know. I will continue to keep making my videos just the way I do. You know, some people say, oh, your videos are too long, and some people say it's too short. You can't satisfy everybody. So how about I'm just gonna keep doing what I do, providing value to my people. If you wanna watch, go ahead. If you don't, you keep getting your results that you get. All right. So after that, you know, we just got a basic phone effect. The person himself, he did that. So sometimes as an engineer, they give you good settings, leave it alone. They done already did everything they got to do. Then, you know, just another stock EQ. Then I used the mono mod just to kind of like automate this part and make it a little bit more believable. I liked it. He brought in like a female artist and everything.
Bitch, you love this lifestyle, shut the fuck up. You say that, take a, I'm about to cut up out of time.
Yeah, so it kind of helps to go like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. It kind of moves around a little bit, makes it more of a moment. Then we just had a stock EQ going into a stock reverb. Like how I always say, it's not going to make or break your song. Sorry, if you trash, you trash. Then after that, we have a stock EQ going into a stock delay. Wow, you know, nothing crazy. And then an H delay as well. So let me show you guys a little bit closer. Yeah, so you guys see it. You see the reverb and delay. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing else down there, nothing special Okay, no secret sauce. Sorry. So yeah, let's just go to the master fader. I used something like the Oxford inflator. Not trying to rhyme, but I used the Oxford inflator to inflate the song, adding a little bit of harmonic density, helping everything become a little bit bigger. And I like the Oxford inflator. Kind of also pushes the vocal up forward a little bit too.
I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do it.
Just helps the song become a little bit more heavy, you know, kind of swing a little bit harder. Then after that, I used the Kramer Pi on my master fader. Didn't you really use it to compress? Used it more for a tone thing. You know, this is a solid state bus compressor that guys like Eddie Kramer like to use. It's a different topology from all the other ones. I think it's a PIE Pulse, something like that. But either way, it's really nice for giving a little bit of aggression on vocals, maybe ad-libs too. So let's listen to it with and without.
I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking stubs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, no more.
So yeah, as you can pay attention, just kind of using it as a saturator just to give it a little bit more tone. You heard everything got split to attention a little bit more, you know, 1, 2, attention, hut. And then after that, we got something like the Puig Child 670. You know, I love to use this thing. That tube compression just helps tighten up everything a little bit more. Love to pull the threshold up just a little bit to tap it, get there. You know, sometimes I might do 1 to 2 dB. Sometimes I might be a little bit more aggressive. Let's see how I did.
I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking stubs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, don't want no fucking hug. I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville.
Love using the Puig Child on the master fader. Just makes everything hit a little hard. Then the Fairchild, of course, everybody knows this stuff. Using the Fairchild next to the Puig Child, and you know, just not even EQing or nothing like that. Just letting it run through, helping the vocal and the whole mix all together. Just get a little bit of shine, a little bit of sparkle, just that tube saturation.
I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking stubs. My bitch is going crazy.
So, you know, I love using the UAD version, but I had used the Waves version for a very long time. So it don't matter. Just, you know, do what you can. All right. So after that, we have the Ozone preset, just a little bit of excitement on the top end and the mid range, you know, just hyping everything up a little bit. Then a little bit of, you know, stereo imager helping. Like, I love using a little bit of stereo imager on just the mid range, helps pull everything forward. Listen to the 2-track beat. Everything just comes from the back, comes forward.
I don't want no pussy, I want some paper, I'm in my zone. Go take you to Ocean Prime, but I lied, I hit the road. In Nashville, shit just run into a plug. Like fuck rap, I don't even need a buzz. I ain't worried about it, cause my phone do a dub. This a real chick, and ain't got no fucking stubs. My bitch is going crazy when I hit the club. Hold on, give me that money, bitch, don't want no fucking hug.
All right, so the last thing, you know, just kind of looking at our loudness meter. So it's kind of like the perceived loudness. 0 dB is 0 dB. Once you hit 0 dB, you clipping. But this tells you how loud do you perceive the chihuahua to be. You know what I mean? If it's in a dark room and that chihuahua is barking loud, you might think it was a Rottweiler. You know what I mean? So perceived loudness is perceived loudness. You know what I mean? This is what this is measuring. This is like the meter for the streaming platforms and all that shit. Usually -10 is good enough. But, you know, I was able to push this to like -9, -8, just getting a little juice. And that's why I did that multi-band compressor on the 2-track, you know what I mean? Just on the sub. You know, so for the most part, working at -9, sometimes hitting -8 on certain parts. So we know it's loud enough and everything is good. But I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Appreciate you guys for watching these videos, these masterclass breakdown, full mix breakdown. We won't count when we say it's a full mix breakdown now. We really show you every fucking thing. Literally. All right. So I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and suggest another video down below. Just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Peace.